Hey guys, this is Bruce and welcome to another ConvoCourses podcast. And today I want to talk to you guys about what's been going on in the last few months. I've been able to actually travel while I was between jobs, and because I have a high-paying cybersecurity job, I had one anyway. I was able to quit my job. I had some family issues like I had to take care of, and my job was a very high level, high stress job. So I was a consultant for all these different organizations, and it was really stressful, and I had all these severe family issues that I needed to take care of. And actually the corporation that I worked for was really kind, and my boss took me aside and said, "Hey man, whatever you need, we'll let you, we'll let you take a sabbatical and all that kind of stuff," which was very kind, very sweet, very good company actually. But the problem was I had so much travel, and I'm a remote worker there, but it was just too much travel, so I couldn't make that match what I was doing with my home life. So I went ahead and I had to leave. But in between, I knew I was going to get another job. Well, actually, my side hustles have been doing so good, I thought maybe that I could just live off of that for some time, but the medical stuff was too high. The medical here in the U.S. is really bad, if you didn't know. Anyway, so neither here nor there. I couldn't afford to actually live off of my businesses and my all my income streams and stuff. So I'm processing stuff. I've did a whole bunch of interviews and everything. I learned quite a bit more about the current state of getting jobs in cybersecurity. But I was able to get one pretty fast, and I was able to get something I really wanted. So 100% remote position, making the kind of money I want to make. And just to kind of give you guys some social proof of what I've been doing. If you go to TikTok, a lot of the stuff I posted on TikTok there's a lot of these videos that I did directly from my travels. Let me show you one. Here's one right here where I'm in Manila Beach, I think. So yeah, that's Manila Beach right there. That's the embassy behind me in Manila. So yeah, I just did a whole bunch of videos. I was gonna go to all these other sites. I was gonna go to Bali and go to Singapore and places like that, but I just didn't. We had some issues with the flights, so I just ended up staying in the Philippines the whole time. But I just wanted to let you guys know like what's possible, because I'm working this high level job. I was able to save some money, and able to go on this, actually take a break for like 3 months. I've been off of work for 3 months, and I could afford it because I had money in savings. I had all these other resources that I'd created. And so that's why I was able to do it. But now I'm going back to work and everything, and I'm not sad about it, but I would have been a lot happier if my business would have been able to support me and sustain my family for that whole time. But unfortunately not. So yeah, thanks everybody for watching me doing this live once again on the podcast. And I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things, show you my new podcast and where that stuff is at. I'm going to show you the new book that I have that's coming out to show you to do exactly what I've been doing. It's going to break all that stuff down. I'll kind of give you a preview of what that's all about. And then I'll just answer some questions. We'll keep it loose on this one. So let me show you another picture. This is me. I was on a rooftop hotel. It was like a resort. It was really nice. And I'm just talking about showing like me actually doing it. And I've been able to do it by marketing myself. So that's what this video is all about. The video just shows me on the rooftop, jumping in a pool, having a good life, So I want to show other people how to do it. With exactly what I did, it really works. But let me show you. So it's going to be a book about marketing yourself in cybersecurity. How to create a resume in cybersecurity in particular, but IT, you can also use it for IT or whatever field you're in, really. Like the techniques will work in any field, but I want to focus on cybersecurity because that's where, that's what I've been doing for the last 20 years. So cybersecurity and IT, jobs, resume marketing. I'm going to put this on Amazon. I'm going to put this on my own personal website, and there'll be 2 different versions, and I'll have an audio version of this book. And what I'm going to talk about is essentially how to get a path, how to create a path in cybersecurity, because cybersecurity is a huge field. So whenever somebody says, "Oh, I want to get in cybersecurity," it's kind of like, okay, well, what exactly do you want to do in cybersecurity? Because there's forensics, there's incident responders, there's cybersecurity analysts, there's security compliance people, there's information security officers, there's engineers, architects, there's CISOs. There's all different kinds of roles and different kinds of fields within cybersecurity. Cryptography is also considered a part of cybersecurity as well. So it's just a huge field, and it kind of depends on like what you're doing. So yeah, here's the book. It's going to talk about like the format you should use. I'm basically showing everything I've been doing, and it's really been whether you want to be spoon fed that stuff and ask me questions directly, then that's the course, But expected results, all I do is talk about like what I'm experiencing. Like I get calls all the time. I can kind of name my price. If I want to go, if I'm willing to travel, I can name my price. I tell you how to create a profile, how to put yourself out on all these sites, and then how to get all the continuous calls. And not only that, but how to actually get the actual format that you need that's going to sell yourself, that's going to be able to be digestible by all these organizations and employers who want you. They're looking for people right now. Cybersecurity is a huge field, and we really don't have enough people doing it. And unfortunately, it's getting so crazy that they're even taking in a lot more entry-level people than before. So there's lots of opportunities. If you've been watching if you watched my last podcast, I talked about how those out there too. And here they are right here. So far, if you want this directly from the site, if you happen to be watching me on YouTube, you can click on the link description below, and then it'll go to this site right here. But it's convocourses.podbean.com, and you'll find it there. All right. So let me see. What else do I need to talk about? Oh, yeah. So that book that I'm writing a cybersecurity book that's going to tell you exactly what I've been doing to market myself and get a lot of different opportunities to get into cybersecurity and information technology in general. So I'm constantly getting emails, messages, text, calls all day long. Maybe I'll probably get an average of about, with everything, probably 6 or 7 on average a day. Sometimes it's way more. It's actually quite annoying. And now that I actually chose a job, I have to turn all that stuff off. It's just so many opportunities. It's a good problem to have, to constantly be sorting through all of these different jobs and stuff. And out of those tons of jobs, out of like 100 jobs, they're probably about 30 of them, or not 13 of them that are like, yeah, this is a good one. I'm gonna do an interview with these guys, So that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do. But the second book, it's going to be a 2-book series. The second book is going to be based off of this, what you see here on the screen. If you happen to be listening to me, this is the NICE framework. So this is an organization called the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Careers and Studies. These guys have been around for quite some time, and what they did was brilliant. They broke down all the main categories of cybersecurity in the cybersecurity workforce. And these categories include, there's 7 of them, and analyze, collect and operate, investigate, operate and maintain, oversee and govern, protect and defend, and then securely provision. And let me just show you like what this is all about. Like you might be like, what does this have to do with your book? Well, let me just explain to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down and make it so that it's understandable to everybody. Like I'm going to relate this directly to you getting a job, because like I said, cybersecurity is a huge field. What these guys did was they broke it all down. If you go to this site, it's like a huge database, and they have specialty areas in each category, right? So what I'll do, I'm going to take you to my category. So my category is called oversee and govern. And so this is where a lot of managers, cybersecurity management, executive cyber leaders are at, legal advice, policy, procedures, things like that, education, all that kind of stuff. Because it's not usually hands-on type stuff. It's more of you're overseeing what's going on. You're making sure everything is going in the right direction. So my specialty is really this one right here, which is security, information system security managers. And then they have different work roles that breaks in further down into work roles. And so it has abilities, knowledge, skills, tasks, and other things that you need to know if you're trying to get into this actual work role. And it furthermore, what you can do is, and what I'll do in my book is, I break this down into even like related to directly to like LinkedIn and Indeed and all that stuff, so you can see the direct correlation between the categories that they've broken down here, and actually the categories that are in all cybersecurity. That's because that's what they did. They just took 7 categories and said, okay, this is how cybersecurity breaks up. And then they broke that down further into specialized skills. And then they broke those into work roles. So I'm going to take this stuff and relate it directly to how you can take stuff from Indeed, stuff from LinkedIn, and find your niche that you can actually get into in cybersecurity. And then once you find your niche, once you know, okay, I want to be an information security officer, I want to be an information security, I want to be a ComSec manager, then what I'll do is I'll show you how to find what exact degree you need, if you need one, because some don't even need a degree, bro. Some don't even need a degree. Some like just need specific skills, but it'll tell you exactly what skills you need, exactly what keywords to use on your resume, exactly what everything. You can check out this site. It's at let me see if I can give you guys the link here. If you go to Google and just type in cybersecurity workforce, NICE, NICE, that right there will guide you to this site that I'm showing, that you see here. It's pretty robust. There's a lot of things going on with this site because these guys are very, very active, and the Department of Defense, as well as DHS, and all these different agencies use these guys as a reference to know exactly what skills and tasks that are needed to do cybersecurity. Federal government relies on this, what you see here, very heavily. So that's why I decided to make a book about it, to kind of boil it down to stuff, practical knowledge that you can use for your career path. 2-book series, gonna tell you how to market and then how to get the proper career path of what you want in this field. All right, let's get into some questions. This is not going to be too long of a podcast. I'm going to I've got a lot of questions popping up in TikTok, shockingly enough. I mean, I did not expect this, but I've got about 2,000 followers there so far, and a bunch, very, very active. A lot of questions here, but let me see if I can answer a couple before I leave. Let me see here. If you're interested in following me on TikTok, just go to ConvoCourses. Go to TikTok and then search ConvoCourses. Okay, so it says, somebody asked me, I'm in the healthcare field and I'm trying to go with the Security Plus and the HCISPP, which is like a healthcare cybersecurity certification from ISC2 squared to stay relevant. Any tips? Yeah, so this is great. Like this is an awesome, and I'm going to make another video about this specifically on TikTok, but I wanted to speak to this on with the podcast. So for this, as you're going to Security Plus, as you're going to HCISPP, I would actually do some labs in your house. One of the best things, one of the best ways to go deeper into this subject is actually have a lab in your house. Like, that means get a separate computer, or you can actually do it on your computer that you use. Get your laptop, your whatever workstation you use in your house, and you can use something called VMware, and you can put different operating systems on that computer, or you can just buy a whole nother computer, build it from scratch, and then put the security features on that. That's a little bit more expensive. With VMware, it allows you to, I don't think it's more than about $200. VMware itself, the software sounds pretty expensive, but you're investing in yourself, right? So just think of it like that. You're investing in yourself. VMware works. But for now, I'm just going to go to the site just to show you how you can create a lab like right on your computer. So VMware is a virtual manager, and it's a application that sits on your system, on your computer, and then you can upload like Linux on it. You can have different versions of Windows. You can have Mac, all on the same computer, and then you can network them together. And it's really cool. It's a really great way to learn how to do host-based firewalls. You can actually, I think you can even put like different firewalls on it. You can put a NAS on it, a firewall. You can have like a whole little tiny network. If you want to do this for free, if you like, especially if you're into networking, there's another thing you can do called GNS3. This is something I used to use to practice for CCNA. I used to have a CCNA. I used to be huge into networking. It's been a while, so GNS3. So GNS3 is actually is free. The only thing it's going to cost you is your time to figure it out, because it's like a open. Last time I checked it was an open source simulator that simulates network environments. Really, really cool. It's actually free. Oh, is it not free anymore? Software that empowers it. Free download. It's not free. It looks like it's not free anymore. Why is this site all fancy now? Oh man, they do this. They put it out for free for a while. Wireshark used to be free too. I want to say Nessus, it was even free at one time. Yeah, look how many people use this. Anyway, so you download GNS3, and it's a virtualized network, and you can literally set up a little. It's so cool. Like, it's like, this is one of another one I like to do like a demonstration of. It's really, really cool. It allows you to log in and configure routers and switches, and mess around with routing protocols and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. So yeah, that would be my advice to you, is if you're going for a Security Plus, a HCISPP, and you're trying to get into this field, especially if you don't have experience, create a lab, put it on your laptop, start messing around with it, so you can then start to understand the inner workings of IT. All right, next question. D-True says, Bruce, in your opinion, what is a acceptable salary range for a new ISSM or ISSO? So it really depends. That's a great question, by the way. It really depends on where you're at in the United States. And here's why I say that. Because if we type in ISO pay scale, watch this. They have a price range, but it really depends. What you'll notice is it kind of depends on what area you're in, and it also depends on what clearance you have, what's the organization. What you're seeing here is typical of somebody with experience, 130. And these are in Colorado, California, and I think this is Connecticut. What I want to see is the actual pay scale. Here it is. So the national average is over $100,000, $56 an hour. That's the national average. Now, what this doesn't factor in, I don't think, is how many years of experience the person has, or if they have other additional certifications or things like that. National average. That's pretty good for a national average if you think about it, because that takes into account all the way the highest level of pay down to the lowest levels of pay. Let me see if I can find some more. Okay, the national average in Colorado, where I'm at, the average is about 123,000, and that's about right. And then depending on how much more experience you have, it'll be more. And I could tell you that if you're in the Virginia area, this is kind of low. Like 100 is kind of low, but I would say it's around this. This is about right. For somebody starting off from scratch, you might come in lower. Like if you have zero experience with it, and you're coming in off, like maybe you had some experience in the military or something like that. I could tell you, my first job outside the military as an ISSO, I had a bachelor's degree, but I didn't have the required certifications. They required a CISSP at the time, and I didn't have one. So what they did was they just brought me in and said, look, you have X amount of time to get this certification. Can you do it? I said, yes. So they hired me at 60,000, 62,000, something like that, but which was very low. But keep in mind that this was how many years ago? Damn, it's been a long time. 10, 15 years ago. It was like 15 years ago. So 10 years ago, I mean, that's quite a bit of a while. That's 2004, 2006. Damn, that was a long time ago. 14 years ago. Wow, man, time flies, right? Anyway, yeah, it was like 14 years ago. So it's gonna, obviously the prices have gone up. So 70 between, okay, let me give you a range. If you are a new ISSO, a new information system security manager or information system security officer, we'll say officer first because manager is different. Manager is a whole different range. Let's say an information system security officer, the range is between, I want to say, depends on where you are in the United States, but I want to say it's going to be between about 70 and 100. That's about right for a new person. Now, keep in mind, they know your value, especially once you start getting those certifications. So what you want to do is, no matter what they're paying you, when you get in, get a certification, a Security Plus, a CISSP, a CISA, a CRISC, get some sort of, I would highly recommend a professional level security cert, like a CASP, a CISSP, a CRISC, a CISA, one of those. Not easy certs, by the way, and they do cost you. But once you get that, yeah, you'll be able to switch to another position, new job somewhere as an ISSO. Without, they'll pay you to stay, and you'll be able to make over 115, at least 115 or more. So that should answer that question. Now, you also ask a question about CISM, which is a different position. CISMs are usually the supervisors of a CISSO. I mean, ISSO. Man, I'm slipping. So an ISSM is usually a manager of an ISSO. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. Managers are usually going to make a little bit more because they're managers. But let's see if I'm not lying to you. Let's see if I can find the average of a. Okay, it's not coming up here. I don't know why. Oh, is it trying to search just in Colorado? What is up with that? Okay, let me go back one to see if I can find the average. Okay, it keeps wanting to search in Colorado, USA. Or what I'm doing is I'm on ZipRecruiters and I'm looking at they've got like a little breakdown of this. So actually, let's get out of this. Let's go back to Google and find another management position. I guess it's lumping it right in with ISSO. Okay. So, and actually it's saying it's lower for some reason. That's inconsistent. Oh, okay. No, this is saying it's a little bit lower. That's weird. Which I don't think is correct because a ISSM is a manager typically, especially in the federal government. They have two different positions. Like one is ISSM will usually be over ISSOs, and they'll usually be the person who signs for the ISSO and manages the ISSO's work. So they usually make more. It's usually like a management type position. So that's incorrect. I would say it's probably more in the range of 120 to like 140 and on up. So for an ISSM. Man, Glassdoor is even saying it's lower. That's not been my experience. Oh, okay. No, Glassdoor is saying the average for an ISSM is 120. Yep. So there you go. That was my guess. Would be more like 120. It's up. The scale goes up like 10,000, something like that. Because you can see here that they're saying that the average on the low end is about 67 to 87. And all the way up to 290,000, which is insanity. But yeah, so that's about right. 120 is what I say an ISSM is going to make. Okay, let me see if there's any other questions here. I got some folks watching the stream here, watching the podcast, listening to the podcast. VMware GNS3 are golden for learning. Yeah, after work, yeah, for sure. Okay, let me see if there's other questions. I have so many questions popping up on TikTok. It's very, very active for questions. Somebody called me a scam. You know, it's free stuff I give away. Man, I don't know what people are thinking, to be honest with you. Which is the best path for an at-home job? Jobs only. Okay, so somebody asked me, I've had this question before. What are the best jobs for at-home jobs, remote work? What are the best, I guess, IT jobs, information system security officer jobs? I mean, information security, cybersecurity type jobs, or IT jobs for work from home. These days, after COVID, you know, I would have had a different thing to say about this. But these days, mostly, let me put it to you this way. I can tell you what jobs are not compatible with remote work. let me start from there, because nowadays you can do so many jobs remotely, and more organizations and employers are now more open to remote work, which is, I've been doing this before COVID, so it was a lot harder to get remote work before this. Anyway, jobs that are not conducive to remote work would be classified positions, in my opinion, in my experience. If you're in a classified environment, if you're trying to get work at a, especially if it's secret and above, it's harder to have 100% remote. Normally what they'll do at the most, they'll have like a flex position, flex hours, or flex, I can't remember what they call it, but basically it's like a hybrid, that's what they call it. So they'll say, okay, 2 days out of a week you can be at home, and the other 3 days out of the week, work week, you have to be at the site, or 2 days, or vice versa, like 2 days on the site and then 3 days off site. So they'll do stuff like that. But see, the thing is, you have to be you have to be on site a lot of times to do the security stuff, the classified stuff. But that being said, there's actually some people, like a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, he was telling me about how there's this innovative new technology where you can actually do even classified work from home jobs. So even that is going to be work from home more and more. And I'm talking about all the way up to TS. And once he explained to me how that's done, my mind was blown. I was like, holy crap, that makes sense. But anyway, most of those jobs right now are normally you can't do those remotely. Another one that's kind of deceptive are jobs where you have to travel a lot. The problem with those is they'll say, oh, it's 100% remote. But you're traveling so much that it doesn't even matter. Like some of the consulting and some of the professional services jobs, they require you to go on site. If it's over, I'll put it to you like this: if the travel is over, if it's over 50%, then you're gonna be traveling a lot, because you gotta factor in that, probably add another 20% for the travel days. Yeah. So if it's over, if it's 50, if it's even close to 50%, that is a lot of travel. Like because I did a job like that, and I was constantly on the road, and the only time, I think mine was 60 to 75% travel. I was never home. I would come home for the weekend, and then I was off again. Like I'd have a 3-day weekend, and I'd be traveling for the rest of the week. So it was brutal, man. It was work from home, but I was traveling all the time. So if it's any of those jobs, and normally, the other one I would say, okay, so we talked about classified jobs. Normally those are on site or some kind of a hybrid. Those are changing, but most of the jobs you're going to have to go on site. The other one would be consulting, where you're traveling a lot because you have to go to all these different places. And then the other one would be if they really want you to have FaceTime with the customer. And that usually requires being on site. Those off the top of my head, the ones that out of all the ones I've been offered or that I've worked at personally, that's been my experience with it. But if you guys can name any other places where it's pretty much you have to be on site, field techs, that's another one. That one's not going to be, well, it says it can be remote, but you're traveling so much that it might as well not be remote, because you're never home. Yeah. Hope that answers your questions. Most jobs, off the top of my head, a lot of cybersecurity jobs can be done remotely. Remote administration, you can do system administrator jobs, a lot of those remotely. You can do networking, a lot of those networking jobs remotely, configuring firewalls, monitoring traffic. A lot of those you can do remotely. Just name something. Most of them you can do remotely. It really depends on the organization. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let me keep going here. Okay, somebody said it is, back on the topic here, somebody said it is difficult to impossible to get a fully remote. There is zero chance that I would work and take the added risk of doing classified work remotely. Yeah, so the technology that was in place was sort of like, it was like a virtual machine. Nothing's stored on your computer. Basically, it's like you're seeing images. Like your whole desktop and everything is just images that you're seeing. But the risk for me is that if you're in your house, you've got things like, what if your daughter is on the phone over here and they have their phone, they're on speakerphone, and you happen to be doing you're on a secure line on your system and you're doing classified work, and then they can hear what you're saying, so there's a possibility of a security incident because it got leaked to somebody. I don't know. There's just, I'd be kind of nervous about it myself, to be honest with you. D-Truth says, after COVID, are IT travel jobs still plentiful? Yes. I know the government, for the government, it has slowed down quite a bit. Yeah, there's still a lot of travel jobs, but you're right. There's a lot of customers and clients. And the last job I worked at, without giving too much away, last job I worked at, I was a consultant. I was a cybersecurity consultant, and one of the biggest part of our jobs is that we'd have all these assessments, and we would go to a site. We would go to the site and we do physical assessments and we do wireless assessments. You have to be on the site for those, right? So we would go there and sit down with the facility manager and ask them questions, interview them, and then walk around the facility and all this kind of stuff. And then you do a report. Like you say, okay, well, you're good here, you have a checklist, all that kind of stuff. But a lot of clients were like, nah, you can't come to our site, or you can come to this site, but you can't come to this site. So you have a point. Because of COVID, travel has been restricted, but it's starting to open up quite a bit lately. Like right before I left, they were opening things up. Like it was opening up like crazy, because most places in the U.S. are opening up, with the exception of like, well, there's a few places. Like we had some overseas places that were still pretty locked down, pretty tight. So exactly, SCIFs are SCIFs for a reason. Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can answer if there's any other questions here. Tons of questions and interactions on TikTok. I'm really surprised about TikTok. Somebody asked me, okay, this is a good question. Couple questions that are related. Somebody asked me if they can do cybersecurity at age 30, and another person asked me if they could do it at age 45. And I would say yes. As a matter of fact, cybersecurity lends itself to a more mature-minded person, because you have to do a lot of interaction. As a matter of fact, like this career field is pretty old. If I don't say so myself. But the last place I worked at, I wasn't the youngest guy, but I'm pushing 50, man. Like I wasn't the youngest guy there, and so I was not the youngest or the oldest guy there. So this career path needs more mature people, because you're dealing with pretty heavy issues, and you have to have the maturity, the emotional intelligence to talk to high-level cybersecurity CISOs and C-level execs and stuff, and then you got to be able to switch gears and then talk to a technical person. And because of that, it lends itself to a more mature type of person who can handle stress and not freak out, and who've been around the block enough to know, okay, yep, don't worry, like we got this, and not panic, right? So you need somebody with a cool hand. And a lot of times, like, even me, I've been doing this for 20 years, but I'll get schooled. Like the last place I worked at, there were people there who were masters at this. And I'm like, man, these guys were running circles around me. I thought I was pretty good at presentations and stuff. Man, they were killers. I mean, they just like, something bad would happen, something horrible, in cybersecurity, so many bad things can happen. That's that we're in the business of preventing bad things from happening to your assets. Something would happen and the client would lose their damn minds, and they'd be a younger person who can't handle any kind of pressure, and they freak out. And they'd freak out. And then have another person like my mentor who was at that job, that person would just be calm and just calm them down. Just talk them off the ledge, negotiate with them. And then next thing you know, they're no longer holding hostages. Like they were just so good at speaking to clients and customers. And that level of maturity is really necessary. So yeah, 45, like as long as you can get the concepts down. As a matter of fact, if you don't want to do another 2 years of, if you don't want to like sit down and do 2 years of learning all this new IT, you could actually do something like a project manager is actually a really great position for an older person. Project manager is one. Compliance, the stuff I'm doing, something like that. Something where you're not super like in the weeds technically, because there's a lot going on with like firewalls are constantly evolving and changing, and like web technology is constantly evolving, changing, and man, to keep up with the server technology, I mean, it's constantly going, constantly moving, constantly, and you're having to constantly hit the books and stuff. So that could be, as you get older, you have all this other stuff going on, in your life, whereas youngsters, they're just now coming in and taking on new responsibilities. So the work is everything for them. They don't have, maybe they have one kid or something, but they don't have necessarily grandkids or like 5 kids or whatever, you know what I mean? So they can devote more of their time to just learning this new technology and stuff. But I would highly recommend, like, especially if you're older, you already have done 2 or 3 different career paths, and you're doing this so you can retire and live a simpler life, man. I would recommend project management. Get a PMP, and also it really needs more mature people, like people who can handle pressure and not freak out. People who are calm as a cucumber, just calm, just like chill, and they can just work in any environment because they've seen some things. So they got that 1,000-yard stare, as we used to call it in the military. Like they've seen some shit, So older people, like, yeah, you could definitely do this as an older person. All right, I think that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I've been talking for about 30 minutes. I'm going to try to do more like one-offs like this instead of just doing them once a week, more podcasts. And if you're interested in hearing a lot more, because I actually post more stuff on audio, go to ConvoCourses.podbean.com or check in the link description below, and you'll have more access to all the stuff that I put out and some old podcasts I've been posting. All right, guys, that's it for this one. Thank you so much, D-Truth. Thank you, SVT. Thanks for all the questions on TikTok and